handle the truth.
I'm Jim Price, Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, my voice is a little off today. Let's make up the date. I mean, we don't have to do that. Government makes it up for us. It's April 29, 30, 52. No, it is April 8th. It's a Wednesday, 2026. Well, guys, thank you for being here. Yeah, I play with that a little bit each time only because it just has to be a reminder that our government does not have an actual count on what the world is. They just make it up and then tell you to comply. I think it's basically what we see all of our governments doing across the world is they just tell us and what information they can kind of come up with and their Council of Nicaea effect and omitting and allowing things in and this and that, and then we find ourselves in a different world. Courtney Allen says, happy hump day. 2 more days until freedom. Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. Courtney, good to see you here. Thank you so much. Brenda, good to see you as well. Now, there's a lot of discussions about the Strait of Hormuz, and I know that this is something that everybody's all up in arms about because they're worried about the ongoings of the global oil prices. But, guys, we are energy independent, and so the global oil prices should not affect us whatsoever at the pump. And, in fact, it doesn't. But, in fact, they're getting great profit margins right now, and it's really amazing how far they can go and act like they're the ones doing us a favor. Brenda, good to see you. Hey, Dave, good to see you as well. So, thank you guys for jumping in this morning already, or this afternoon already. I do appreciate it. Yesterday, I was down and out. Had a bit of a long day yesterday. And was not able to cover, would not have been able to do the show. I really spent a lot of my time really trying to get better, get my water up, get different things going. But yesterday was really bad, and the amount of rib pain and everything that I was in, it was a setback. I do feel completely different this morning. I felt a lot better, but yesterday, I mean, I was just. It was as if I was still I had just got out of the ICU. That's how painful it was yesterday. So had a little bit of a slow day yesterday. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me, and I'm here today. So all right, Ken says that seems a bit homophobic. Why don't we talk about the gays of Hormuz? Well, because the gays have their own public relations firm. There we go. Good job, Ken. So, anyway, yes, I am feeling better. Still had to work on a couple things today and did end up sleeping this afternoon, which I wasn't expecting, but I did get a little extra sleep. I tell you what, it just took it out of me. Hey, Dave Salih, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here. And so anyway, the Straits of Hormuz, the vermouth, what vermouth is that for martinis and all that stuff? Yeah, anyway, so good stuff out there. I have been watching a lot of these little... Oh, this is one of my special guests coming in, so we're going to have to go ahead and take this. So just give me a second. Listen in, guys, while we have this interview. This is about election integrity. This is Jim.
Hey there, this is Allie Triolo with the RNC. How are you?
Doing good, Allie. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that we have a good sound quality on there. It looks like everything's a go. So how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. Had a little reset on my injury, but I'm back in it today. So Asher told me that you had some very specific election integrity information for us today.
We have tons of election integrity information. So I hope it's valuable to your listeners, and they feel like they have a good understanding of what the RNC is doing to protect the ballot box.
Right, absolutely. Well, we know this is a big situation for a lot of people, including myself. When I ran for office for state senate in 2016, I watched a 38-point lead at close of poll evaporate to a Democrat. So I know that voter integrity is very, very important. I've seen it happen in my own elections. I've seen it happen in other elections. So what is it you got for us? What are we seeing for the RNC?
Well, the RNC has more than 120 active cases across more than 30 states. We have a robust election integrity team that starts with, of course, our litigators working hard in our court system and also boots on the ground. The investment in making sure that we have Republican poll workers, we are turning out the vote, investing in securing the ballot box. So there are a lot of key cases. We are fighting everything from local battles all the way up to the Supreme Court. So I just want to know, tell me a little bit about what exactly maybe your listeners would be interested in. And I'm happy to provide all of that information.
Well, the biggest thing is that we just get a fair count. One is the voter registers, which we know those are all screwed off. All the blue states are doing everything they can to not turn the registers over so we can backfill them and compare them to Social Security records, which would mean that they're an actual citizen or a person who should be voting. But then also the count. Again, the count, we have election day. We don't have election week or month. And a lot of these other states have been allowed to run amok. So is there, I mean, other than the SAVE Act, what other things are we able to kind of grasp onto, knowing that going into the election we have something to believe in?
Well, the good news is the RNC had a successful win in Mississippi, and now this landmark case, Watson versus RNC, this is before the Supreme Court. Our justices heard arguments just a few weeks ago, and exactly what you said, this would secure the counting of mail-in ballots. Right now, 14 states have these illegal grace periods where they're counting ballots days or even weeks after Election Day. And our argument is that Election Day is Election Day, and these ballots have to be received by Election Day to count. Obviously, when you have elections that trickle on, when you go to bed at night thinking someone won and then wake up the next day to a completely different outcome, that erodes trust among voters and obviously goes against what was written in our Constitution, that Election Day is Election Day. So that's one avenue that we are trying to close these loopholes. There are other loopholes around the nation. We had a successful win in North Carolina, and we have 3 active cases right now in Virginia, Arizona, and Michigan that would stop and absolutely halt the ability for people that have never even lived in the state to register to vote in that state. I know it's hard to believe when you're hearing this because it seems so common sense that there would be protections in place to combat these bad actors in our elections. But unfortunately, this is a round-the-clock mission here at the RNC. We are not backing down. We're ramping up as we're moving into the midterm elections, and especially as we gear up for the 2028 presidential election. So this is just a little bit about what we're doing. And obviously, I could talk about this for days, so I want to make sure I'm answering your questions. But that's definitely how we are working to secure Election Day.
Right. Well, a lot of people feel like that it's the illegals, and when we say the word illegal, I mean I love how we've now figured out that if we're on stolen land, it's illegal. But again, I don't know what part of the world hasn't been established as some type of civilization at some time. So there's really no way to use that feckless little argument that we can't be illegal on stolen ground. Are we able to, with the DHS, with the Homeland Security, are those people going to be able to get in there and clean up those voter rolls in a way? Or is this where a law has to be written at the federal level? What is that going to happen? How does that happen? Is that state level?
Well, the good news is voter rolls are public records. So states have to be accurately maintaining their voter rolls in adherence with state law. So you can't have dead people on voter rolls. I'm sure your listeners have heard the story how there was a dog registered in California. I mean, that is ridiculous. Last year, the RNC launched its largest ever public records request across 48 states. In Washington, D.C., there were 2 states we didn't, because we were already suing them for, their records not being up to snuff. And we're taking a look at that, and we are seeing if there's problems, we're making these states answer to them Just last week, we sent letters to more than 30 states where we possibly identified double voters, and those are people that are registered to vote in multiple states. Obviously, you cannot be casting ballots in multiple states. So I like to think of it almost like train tracks, right? We have parallel tracks going here. We have the RNC, we have the DOJ, we have the White House, and we're all working towards a common goal, which is to secure our elections. Now, the Save America Act that's been dominating headlines, we know this. That would be a great thing. And I think what people don't understand is, yes, as Republicans, we care deeply about protecting the ballot box. But for voters, this is a bipartisan issue. We have a lot of polling from different outlets on the left, outlets on the right, even Pew Research Center right in the middle, shows that over 83% of voters, number one, they want ballots received by Election Day. And number two, they want voter ID. And so when you're looking at our leaders, people that are elected to serve our country, quite frankly, it is disgusting and sad how Democrats are turning their back on their own voters. So when they claim the Save America Act is racist or disenfranchising people, clearly they must think their own voters are too stupid to get an ID or not capable. They're not listening to what people want. As Americans, we're actually behind. This is something else that the media isn't talking about enough. We are behind many, many countries around the world. In Europe and South America, so many places require proof of citizenship and voter ID to vote. We are the greatest country on earth, and the fact that we don't have that in place is absolutely insane. We're hoping this gets passed as soon as possible. President Trump has also enacted 2 executive orders to strengthen our election security, but we really have to get some other laws on the books and also hold states accountable to the way the law is written. Election day, only Americans should vote in American elections. This is common sense.
Yeah. Well, I remember then Roberts was asking, was it Roberts or Alito that was talking about how we have a birthday, we have New Year's Day, we have Easter Day, we have, but yet here we are, we don't have an election day, we have election time. It's like this. It's like, why even bother to say it's on such and such date when you just bring them in? Is there a way that we could possibly look at putting a cap on how many mail-out ballots, percentages of votes counted can actually be mailed in? Is there a way to horse collar that, or are we just stuck with mail-in ballots? Because mail-in ballots seem to be very disingenuous, and it's us trying to make sure everybody can vote who's overseas and things of that nature. But in reality, it's the back door that keeps getting us in trouble. Is there a way to slow that down, or is there some plan for that?
Well, I think that's what we're trying to do by making people accountable. Get your ballot in prior to Election Day to ensure that it arrives at your poll site before that day. Florida requires ballots to come in 2 weeks before Election Day just to ensure that there's some level of security around that. Also, President Trump's executive order, his recent one, talks about securing mail-in ballots, making sure that it's only citizens that are voting, using a barcode, checking this to try to combat any potential fraud. I think we saw things really get out over their skis following the COVID-19 pandemic. That is when we saw a lot of these states enact these lingering periods, giving people ample time. Listen, people need to vote by Election Day. Just like if you went to the polls, your polling site likely closes at 6 or 7 p.m. You're not getting a grace period. Get there, be on time, cast your ballot. So for us, our role here is to work with what we've got. And right now, mail-in ballots are something that is allowed. So what we're trying to do is make sure under every sense of law and order we can, secure them as much as possible.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's great that you guys are at least focusing on these things. Now, when I did a full forensic audit for the state of Kansas, I had an affidavit signed and notarized by 3,000 people, and which motivated the state of Kansas to actually go ahead and do a forensic audit on the election. But the problem is that the people they put in charge of it, they just looked at the receipts, the printouts, and go, oh, everything totals. And that was their audit. They didn't go in and look at ballots. They didn't look at signatures. They didn't do any of that, even though we had tasked them with doing it using an affidavit through the court of law, having a stamp signed, stamp sealed. We still couldn't get them to motivate, and we have a super override. We have a super override veto majority in the House and the Senate in the state of Kansas, and yet we got a Democrat, and yet and as a governor, but yet we still don't have election integrity here. We still haven't cleaned up the schools. We haven't cleaned up the fraud. We haven't cleaned up the waste. In fact, we had, several $1 billion went going missing out of our unemployment account right during COVID. I mean, these are things that the supermajority override in the House and Senate in the state of Kansas are doing nothing to move this needle forward. And yet we have Laura Kelly, who's a governor, and she seems to still have a hand on everything we do in this state, but we can't seem to get abortion illegal in this state. We can't seem to get all these other things taken care of like we should. So it tells me we have a lot of rhinos in our party. Is there a way we can wash those out with our own dinos, have some of our own Republicans go over and register as Democrat, and they're Democrat in name only? Is there a way that we fight them with the fire they fight us with?
I mean, I think that's why the RNC is battling it out so hard in the courts, because that is a concrete way to stop the madness. When you're speaking of fraud, what has occurred in Minnesota, I hate to admit this to your listeners, please don't hold this against me, but I'm a fifth generation Californian, but a conservative one. My grandfather was a Superior Court judge in the state appointed by Ronald Reagan. We love the Republican Party, and it's very sad for me to see what has happened to our Golden State. And obviously, I don't live there anymore due to a lot of reasons that we know all too well. And I think that when it comes to saving America, saving what is left of this great nation, that really starts with strengthening our elections. We have Vice President J.D. Vance leading our fraud task force, trying to root out the abuse. Obviously, President Trump has delivered on his commitment to stop so much of this government waste. He's been extremely successful in that. And speaking of Kansas and your state, we even got involved last year. We intervened to make sure that your election day ballot deadline was upheld. So we really do have boots on the ground, eyes and ears in every state. We have, we also, what I'm really proud of at the RNC, we listen to people like you who alert us of fraud, who alert us of potential issues, and we take that in. We litigate against that. We intervene. We want to stop it. So we even have a website where people can call in and report if they see any issues with ballots, election day, any fraud. We need patriots to step up and to be our eyes and ears so that we can support our mission, which is secure our elections, ensure that Republican priorities are heard loud and clear around this nation. And especially as we gear up for the midterms here, we are, November is going to be here before we know it. It's crucial that we keep winning. We had 2 wins this week. It's only Wednesday. I'm talking to you, a major win in Maine, stopping the expansion of fraudulent ranked choice voting. We had another win in North Carolina to force the state to uphold a common sense law that when someone says they can't serve on jury duty because they're a non-citizen, an illegal citizen, that person's name is immediately checked on voter rolls and they are kicked off if they've been allowed to register to vote. So I think the reason why you and I are talking today is when people think of the RNC, maybe they know us for our convention or how we fundraise for candidates, but really we need to be known for what we're doing to secure our elections. That is a major arm of what we do here, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, do you are you seeing anything in the tea leaves or the chicken bones that are going into this fall? What are you seeing the weak areas in this upcoming election, and what are the strengths?
Well, the strength, first of all, is we've had a president that has truly delivered what he promised. We have a border where no illegal citizens are coming over. I mean, the fact that our neighborhoods are safer, and within his first year, he did what Kamala Harris, our border czar, who never even visited the border, couldn't do in 4 years. I mean, That is a win. We have seen the largest tax cuts in American history. Right now, we're in April. Everybody's getting these major tax breaks, no tax on tips, the largest tax cuts we've seen. Let's not talk about the gas prices in relation to the Iran war. Those are coming down. But President Trump has delivered the lowest gas prices we have seen within the past 4 years. So these are concrete things that our Republican Party, our president, has campaigned on, and that we've delivered. The proof is in the pudding. So as far as positive tea leaves, I would say, heck yeah, we've delivered. The American people elected us to deliver these things, and already less than 2 years in, we've done that. I also think something else we're seeing is that the Democrats are not unified. You have crazy leftist people like Hassan Piker saying wild things, and Democrats are not disowning him for his words. So I feel like the only thing right now that is unifying the Democrats are their hatred for President Trump. And other than that, what can they actually provide in terms of strategy, in terms of a true platform for America, other than hating what our president is doing? So I think that's a big positive. And I know that the mainstream media is always putting out, historically, forget that. We've seen a president that's defied history, and I'm confident that we can do that again. But that starts with mobilizing our voters. Mm-hmm. We need voters to turn out for the midterms to ensure that we keep President Trump effective all 4 years of his presidency.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's and let me ask you a quick question. And you spoke with Trump and stuff, but is it? And we all use these analogies of 12D chest and 4D chest and all these things. When Trump talks to you, yes, he's very deliberate, but usually he's bringing attention to something like the Strait of Hormuz, which is for a lot of European countries, that's a very tenuous point for them because they get almost all of their oil from that area where we are energy independent. When you see his long plays and then you see how the news spins it the wrong direction, am I right that Trump is really thinking about 2028 right this moment, or even 2035, as opposed to a lot of Americans who are just in the moment of the flash title, like, something's going on? Is he always that far in advance in all of his thinking? Is that what you feel like when you're around him?
Of course. I would say President Trump, as we know, he is the master negotiator. I mean, look at his emerging into politics, more than 10 years ago. He was already saying so many of the things that he has delivered to America decades before he ever decided to run for president. I think why we should feel so secure as average Americans is we have a president who is truly looking out for our country beyond his tenure as president. He wants us to be set up well for decades, for our children's children and our grandchildren. It is very important that we do trust in President Trump. Something else that I really like about our president is that he is surrounded by very smart people. Look at what Marco Rubio has done. Look at the way that he has been able to deliver, to communicate, to make sense of hard things in a way that we can understand. I think also the media doesn't give enough credit to President Trump, the first president that had the guts in 47 years to stand up to terrorism. That uranium, what was happening there in Iran, this was a threat. It was a ticking time bomb. And in just a few short weeks was able to dismantle the greatest threat to civilization into our world. I think that we should be proud to be Republicans because we are the party of common sense, and we are also the party that wants to leave America better than we found it. I believe with every fiber of my being that President Trump wakes up every day thinking, how can I leave this country better when I am no longer in office? And we're seeing that with the people that he is surrounded by. So I think that we should be encouraged as Americans and also be so glad that we have President Trump in office right now and not Kamala Harris.
Oh, absolutely. Why is it that we see like the Kamala Harris thing kind of tipped off a little thing in me? Why is it okay? Why is it okay for the Democrats to go ahead and replace a candidate mid election, yet was never voted on the primary? Isn't that exactly opposite of everything they say? They want elections, but yet they didn't even do an election for Kamala. They didn't even try.
Absolutely. Democrats are the party of rules for thee and not for me. And I think that's why we've seen a mass exodus of the working class. The Democrats, they used to be the party of the working class, and they grew more and more elite in their thinking, trying to tell their voters they know best. And they became out of touch with America. And that is why now Republicans are the party of the working class, because we actually care about money. We care about your money. We care about making sure you have it in the bank. Something that's making headlines right now is former President Barack Obama has his presidential library. And in order for you to enter free admission, you have to show, guess what? You have to show your ID. You have to show your proof of residency. Yet all of a sudden they think it's racist for us to ask for proof of ID to vote. It's absolutely ridiculous. We have a lot of footage here at the RNC. We do a lot of research, and we know that Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, they required Americans to show ID to attend their rallies, to attend their campaign events. Mm-hmm. We even have footage of them showing their IDs themselves to vote in certain elections. So it's absolute hypocrisy for them to now claim getting an ID, showing an ID is impossible when they want it used for their own safety or their own library or their own whatever. And I think that's why people are so turned off to Democrats. I saw a CNN poll recently that said that the favorability of Democrats is at an all-time low, and that's coming from CNN. So I think what we need to remember is just let's stick with what we know. You know how many news outlets told us President Trump, who, were showing his mugshot leading up to 2024, saying there's no way he can win. And we had the biggest red wave of all time. So let's just stick to our guns. We know what's good for our country, and we need to turn out and vote and keep it going in November.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of this is a psychological battle, isn't it, really, where we find ourselves in these people will freeze and not move if they feel like there's a reason that their vote doesn't count, or that feel like when they're participating, it's not going to matter. And so like when we see the downturn of elections turnout in California because the election polling has closed on the East Coast, we know this to be a thing, right? We know that people will just purposely not vote because, my guy's winning anyway, or, my guy's losing anyway. So how do we beat the psychology of it? Is this a better education, or should we actually be having the kids in, kindergarten, first grade, all the way through, go in on polling day and then learn what polling day really means in their school and actually show the results and how they register in the elementary system and junior high and high school, so then that we can actually see that practice, just like we should be learning how to run checkbooks and know how to operate a house or a garden hose or drive a car. Why don't we do a little bit of that with our freedoms and liberties that our elections ensure?
Yeah, I mean, anything that we can do to teach the next generation that their vote is a sacred right and it should be something that they should always exercise is so important. I think a strength of the Republican Party, and by having a Republican president and Republican majority, is the nuclear family has been celebrated. And I remember being a little girl actually and going with my parents to our polling site. I remember feeling pride watching them wear the sticker when they would drop me off at school that said I voted. And to this day, as a full grown adult, I look forward to wearing that I voted sticker on my shirt on election day. It is my biggest sense of pride. And even as a Republican that grew up in California, I was proud to vote Republican. I knew there were times that wouldn't, move the needle and we would have a Democrat governor, but I still exercised my right to vote. So what's good about the RNC is we really do have a robust campaign, protect the vote, swamp the vote. We are active in getting Americans involved in making sure that all of our voters understand when is election day, how can they vote, making sure that every state follows a parity law. And I know that that's kind of a strange word, but what this basically means is there are equal Republican poll observers as Democrat observers, the equal a number of poll watchers to ensure fairness. So I would say if you are looking at gearing up for this year's midterm election, the RNC is the best it's ever been in terms of election preparedness. This was something that Laura Trump started, Michael Whatley carried on, and now our chairman, Joe Gruters, is actively involved in making sure that we continue to ramp up this effort. I think people may think, oh, is election integrity work just something we do around election year? No. This is a full-time, whether it's an election year or not an election year campaign, and especially with it being an election year, it is all hands on deck.
Right. Well, and that's where we got to take this a little more serious. I know that you and I are both those kind of people that really get out there and want to be a part of things and motivate people. But golly, guys, it just seems like a part of this is just the human nature of being lazy. And now the one thing I think is very, very, very lazy is the argument of changing names, because women will change their name on their driver's license stuff so that they can get insurance with their husband. This has been going on for decades or whatever, and I really don't like the idea that, like, oh, well, we can't, if you do the SAVE Act, women can't vote, or this can happen, or they'll disenfranchise these people. It's weird when they're basically talking about their own sins, but trying to tell me that I'm the one committing it.
Yeah, I mean, we know that this argument isn't true. We simply know that, and in fact, it's a horrible argument because they don't have anything else to say, and if anything, it makes people feel angry. I mean, there's this thing in the news industry called Man on the Street, where reporters go out into communities and ask people how they feel about this. And we have seen time and time again these Man on the Street interviews from reporters that go into liberal communities in the heart of Washington, D.C. and ask, do you feel like it's hard to get an ID? They ask women voters this. They ask minority voters this. And every single person says no. And they feel that it is offensive to be told otherwise. So I think what we need to understand is the rest of America doesn't live in this Washington, D.C. swamp. They are hard-working people that are doing their best every day to provide for their families, to provide for their communities, and contribute something to society. And we know to operate in society, we have to have an ID to board a plane, to rent a car, to pick up our prescription from the pharmacy. So that is a moot point, and we know that it is absolutely ridiculous. And it's quite frankly sad that Democrats don't want secure elections, and that must mean they want to see cheating. They want to cheat in our elections. There is no other reason you wouldn't want secure elections than if you wanted to cheat in them.
Right, absolutely. Now, North America, NATO, okay, we got NATO, which was supposed to dissolve after Russia collapsed, which then Ukraine was supposed to default back to Russia once they were no longer sovereign, which means they were no longer able to defend themselves, which means when the Ukraine war started. But anyway, when we think about I was talking about the treaty and that, or talking about that, and I forgot what my question was going to be. Jesus, I can't believe I just did that. Sorry about that, dear. But anyway, going forward, are we going to see things changing after the election with Trump, or do you think he's going to go harder or softer? What are we looking at? What's going to happen in December? Because this is right when they threw all the crap at us the last time, was right after the midterms during Trump's first election cycle. There, what do you see? What do you see in that? What's going to come in there?
Well, I think that President Trump has not let his foot off the gas since the day he got into office. And I expect no matter what happens in our midterms, it will be the same. I think that President Trump, it's well known, he only sleeps 4 hours a night, and he's dedicated to putting America first. And that's the expectation of all of us here at the RNC, as well as his entire team in the administration. So I don't think as voters and as Republicans, we should wonder whether or not President Trump is going to continue showing up for our country. I think he goes as hard and as fast as he can every day. And we've seen that. I mean, no president in the history, I would say, of our nation has been as transparent as President Trump. The amount of time he spends communicating what he's doing to the media, the amount of times he makes himself available to the public. And I would say not just to the public, but to his voters. I actually want to talk about something that I was able to attend once with President Trump. It was a very, very warm evening, and it was a congressional picnic that they had at the White House. And there was hundreds and hundreds of people there on the lawn. And President Trump and the First Lady stood up, and they first were on the balcony and gave a speech. And I expected that would be the end of it. They made their appearance. It was later in the evening, and they did their due diligence. But instead, the President and First Lady came down, stood on the lawn, and stood down with us for almost 2 hours for a receiving line to make sure they greeted every single guest. They took pictures, they smiled, they shook hands, they communicated. I mean, that is a level of accessibility that I don't think we have ever truly seen in a president and a first lady. So I think President Trump is just, he is America. He wants the best for America, and we'll continue to see that no matter what happens after the midterms.
Quick question. Anybody's asking this, and I know, Barron Trump is old enough now. What is his future? What is he going to school for in New York, and what do you think that he's going to do in the coming years for Barron?
Well, we know Barron Trump was an absolute rock star in the election. He was the one that actually ran President Trump's alternative media campaign. He was the one that pitched to him. Listen, podcasts just like ones you and I are on right now really moved the needle with voters. And he was who got President Trump in front of those alternative voices, which is what the White House has adopted as part of their press strategy. So I think he'll continue to be involved, of course, and do right by his dad. And I also think he's enjoying college and deserves to be young and have that experience. So, of course, something that's been great, at least for me to see, is how involved the president's family is in the White House. It really gives such a warm feeling to see that all of his children are so passionate about America.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what a breathtaking time. Now, are you wanting to, we got about 10 more minutes. Are you want to continue on, or do you need to get going?
Well, whatever you need. I think we've really hit the nail on the head.
Yes,
so I would say, I think we ended it on a great patriotic note. But if you ever have questions, I'm happy to come back on and share anything you would like to hear on what we're doing here at the RNC.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, where's your guys' RNC going to be? Are you guys doing an RNC convention this year before the election, or are you guys only doing that on presidential years?
We are doing a midterm election. It will be the first ever. No announcement yet on location, but we are doing a midterm election, and it will be a Trumpapalooza. It will be theatrical and wonderful and inspiring, of course, because the president, as we know, is our master showman. So we'll be sure to keep you updated once those announcements get made.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to come and show up and be able to show support in the media. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Now, what do you have a Twitter handle or anything like that where we can find you and follow you along?
Yes, my Twitter handle is Allie Triolo, ALLYTRIOLO, but we certainly encourage you to go to our election integrity account. The handle for that is @RNC Vote Protect. There you can see the latest cases we're winning, what we're doing to crack down on election security. So we hope everyone follows that account. That's @RNC Vote Protect.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll get you back on soon, all right?
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Take care.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, what a great interview that was. They did not want to do video for some reason. Not that she's not an attractive woman, but that was all they had capability for, so it must have been a signal issue, so that's all right. But anyway, it was good to see her here. Now, guys, when I ask those questions and things, I'm really trying to think of things that kind of gets us into breaks away from that singular question that everybody always asks. I'm wanting to see the character and things behind what's going on. So that was why it was important for me. A couple of things in the news today. Yes, there's this whole thing with the Strait of Hormuz or whatever it is. Update, Trump administration is pushing back hard against the claims that the Strait of Hormuz has been fully shut down. White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt dismissed the reports as misleading. Well, again, guys, we have We have people that don't want to play along. They're not going to tell the truth, right? They want to make us look weak as we can, or that weak as they can. So that's how that works. So anyway, going back, White House. Let's see. Levitt stated that that what Iran is signaling publicly does not match what is actually happening behind the scenes. She went even further, revealing the direct communication to President Trump with a. So in other words, Trump is talking, but they're saying there's headlines and stuff that are out there saying that he's not. So this is our own people. Guys, this is where if you're sitting around watching ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, and even most of the time Fox, you're getting this bad information that Trump is not even communicating with Iran. This is what I don't understand is why do we have people that are in our own boat trying to sink our own boat? Because it will drown them as well. It doesn't get better. And this is where people who don't have integrity. There's ships moving through it there right now. Absolutely. Well, that's great, Dave Salee. Thank you so much for that. And let's see, what is it? I can't remember the name of that stupid... Maritime traffic. Guys, if you want to go to maritime traffic, let me see if I can pull up over here the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, shit. Excuse my language. Okay, here we are. So I want to scroll in. Oh, let me show this to you guys real quick. Let me get this tuned up here so you guys can see this. I apologize. I should have had that going first. All right, Safari. There we go. All right, so this is the Strait of Hormuz right here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, get in here. Now, see this area? Now, I don't know if you guys are able to see the my hand here, but if we go in a little further, it says Kumzar there, and then there's Kashib. Now, if you look, there's no boats right here. There's no boats right here. And this is what we're talking about, that there's nothing right. But what I will want to tell you guys is that when you see these little things right in here, you see these little boats like right here, all this stuff right here. And then there's another one. There are shipping and receiving ports. Oh, here it is, right here and right here. So they're able to ship some of the oil by transferring back and forth. By the way, guys, we're not the ones that are worried about it. We're not the ones worried about it. We have all the oil we want. But by the way, guys, we are more energy independent. And the fact that we're playing ball with other people, playing ball with other groups of people, other countries, and saying, hey, we'll help you with your oil if you help with ours and this and that, that is absolutely ludicrous. See, all we got to do is just break away and we become energy independent. We don't have to even think about it. Our lives become so inexpensive that we look like a third world country, how cheap things are here. But because we are able to produce them in such large scale, the money should be lesser to be able to purchase them. That is how that works. So anyway, that's one of the things we're out there. Zohan Madandi vows to push race-based equality plan on New Yorkers because he claims that white families are making more money compared to black families. Guys, you cannot gift someone out of poverty. You cannot gift them that. This starts in the father. It starts at the home. Yes, there are things that can be done, but people got to want this. And if they're in the lifestyle of cheating and stealing and lying constantly, they're not going to listen to you. So let's see. Original report: Donald Trump brokered what was supposed to be a 2-week conditional ceasefire with the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism and the Iran Islamic regime. According to reports from Fox News, Trey Yinks, the Strait of Hormuz is now effectively a hostage of the Iranian Navy. While 2 vessels were permitted to pass early Wednesday after Trump's initial announcement, the gates have been since slammed shut. But the treachery doesn't stop at the water's edge. Reports indicate that the Iranian attack overnight successfully struck Saudi Arabia's east-west oil pipeline. So again, guys, this is what actually let's see what they're going to boil it down to. This is all their versions of it, and then what we got here. So It also comes after reports overnight indicated that Iranian attacked and hit Saudi Arabia. This is important because the pipeline is the only outlet for Saudi crude exports. I did not know that. As the Iranians are putting pressure on the strait, they once again are trying to leverage their ability to put pressure on the global energy exports. Again, guys, Europe didn't want to come and help us. NATO didn't want to come and help us. That's what it was, the NATO question. Are we going to get rid of NATO? That's what I wanted to ask her. God dang it. It comes after we got a new statement from President Trump this morning about Iran's nuclear program. The president on Truth Social said the United States will work closely with Iran, which we have determined has gone through what will be a more productive regime change. There will be no enrichment of uranium. This is all what Trump is saying. We're looking at a number of different fronts here. The Israelis are preparing for a possibility of more incoming fire. Yeah, but we got caught bombing ourselves, and that's what really throws everything off, right? NATO, Brenda says they never help us. Absolutely. They're done. It's junk. And then we're paying billions of dollars to be a part of that. That and UN. Guys, we're putting in more money. Let's see this. I don't know. How do I form that question? All right. Well, that was about the radio station, and looks like they are finally up and running a week later. So I'll go ahead and can this one just after I get done here with you guys, and I will make sure that they get a copy of the show, and we'll go from there. So I just wanted to make sure and read that. I saw Dave had actually called during all this was going on. I don't know, guys. We've got to get better about this world around us. There's so many things I'm disappointed about, but I do believe that a lot of the stuff that we're thinking about with Trump, I always want to think Trump is a smart guy, and in a lot of ways, he's yet to really disappoint me. Makes you wonder, though, right? Because it's always a cipher game. It's always got to cipher out the words between, the meanings between, the omitted information, the omitted facts, and we always have to do this back and forth thing, and I never really understood that. Anyway. Philip says NATO's are filth. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, remember the terrorist Qasem Soleimani? Well, his niece is in this country, and they actually captured her and put her in holding in Houston. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be like, but she was living in America under our protection. That's sad. North Korea is shooting off bombs again, or shooting off missiles, trying to get their missile technology right. And then, the Boston Red Sox and Angels got out of hand last night. I don't know, guys. Them fighting, they don't fight very well in those baseball games. It's like, you guys got to do better. If you guys are gonna play hockey, if you guys can do hockey fights, do hockey fights. Don't do this, swatting at each other thing. Now, the whole thing of everybody saying that, why did we take this or that in the space capsule? Why do we do this or that because of this? Guys, I don't know anymore. I mean, they're not faking it very good, but they are faking it pretty good. And at the end of the day, 99% of people on this earth believe in anything the government tells them. I've yet to understand that. They know that this is not something that helps them and doesn't make them better, but yet they run towards it. Oh, it drives me crazy. So much intelligence, eh? Oh, yeah. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for me. It's been great seeing you guys today. Great interview with her today. It was good seeing that. So remember the 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government. The more you do for them, the less they do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world will be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast, do not give up, do not give in. We'll win. I promise I can't keep, guys. You've always been the answer out there. Remember that Constitution that limits the government but never limits you? You are the answer. Please know your authority. Authority is only given to somebody. It's not something that they take from you. If they are taking it from you, that's dictatorship. Understand the difference. All right, guys, been great seeing everybody out there. Good stuff. Yeah, and Terrence William, no, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Any meathead that thinks we can go outside here is a special. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sorry about that Australia thing, Philip. I don't understand what they're doing down there. I used to think Australia was really a cool and wild place and a place to grow up and have fun, and people were cool, but you guys have really screwed it up over there. All right, guys, it's going to be about it for me. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there.